Hey! Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. It's Jayson from Competition Karting, 12 Hours of Canton, and I've got Rachel Hart up here for today's driver interview.
Yes, your new series.
Yeah, so Sidetracked. Welcome to Sidetracked, everyone. So it's our first episode. We hope to bring you guys lots of insight from behind the scenes, not only of what we do here at K1 Speed Canton and Competition Karting, 12 Hours of Canton, how all that goes together, but also how everything comes together with the drivers, the teams, getting to know the personalities and everyone on track and Sidetracked. So also I happen to have a massive case of ADD, so Sidetracked kind of works for stuff.
Yeah.
Let alone the hundreds of screens that Rachel's looking at up here.
It's like it's a lot to take in. I don't know how you guys stay focused during race day.
Me and James have talked about it. Well, you know James.
Yes.
So he's very detail-oriented, which is very, very good. It helps me stay on track for, what I need to get accomplished and stuff. Yep. But I also bring a little pizzazz to the whole thing. So it's not too bad. But when in doubt, we put your monitor right there, so you're actually staring somewhat at the camera, and that's kind of how it works. So, so just wanted to say hi to a few of the drivers. I know we're going to be doing a few of these, like I said. I know we already have a couple of them on deck of people that have commented they want to get to know certain drivers and teams and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And where better a place to start than the defending champions of last year's 12 Hours of Supersonic. You were team captain, right?
I was.
All right, so give us a little introduction. Who are you, and random, I guess, a 10-second resume on racing.
So my name is Rachel Hart. My day job is a mechanical engineer. I do a little bit different than that now. I design assembly lines for vehicles. So I take every single part and figure out how to put it together. And I got into engineering because my dad was an engineer, which means I grew up in motorsports and taking things apart, putting them back together, and going racing. Mm-hmm. So I started at 6 years old on a motorcycle, did a lot of other sports as well. And then in 2020, when the world shut down, go-karting was still an option because you were under a helmet and separated from everybody else. So I started in karting in a different facility.
Where was that at?
So I started at High Voltage.
Okay.
I joined their league there.
Yeah.
Through that, I met a couple of people, one of which being James, the owner here. So when I found out this place was opening, it was like first on the list of when's your opening date and when did leagues start.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Ended up here, ended up joining all the leagues, ended up racing the 12 hours, ended up driving cars on track and expanding from there. Cool.
So you got your start early on. You said your dad was an engineer, so I'm imagining in my head most of the motocross friends that I know that you guys might know too is it's a family affair. It's very much so a dad or mom goes to the track, the family goes, that kind of thing. So was it a very supportive effort in your beginning parts of racing? Was that your first introduction to racing was dirt bikes?
Yes.
Okay, so was it like, whole family get together and that kind of stuff, or?
Not exactly. It was my dad's passion.
Okay.
So he and I.
Mom wasn't too thrilled?
She was not too thrilled.
Okay.
She had me in other sports to kind of counteract the craziness.
What counteracts racing?
She thought gymnastics was a great secondary sport.
Gymnastics plays pretty well into racing, especially dirt bikes. Good balance.
But it's different because that was competitive by yourself.
Okay.
So there was nobody else. You couldn't push somebody off an apparatus or like make them fall, right? So it wasn't racing against anybody else per se. It was yourself.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit different. And racing back then, it was family. So my dad's brothers, my grandma, all of us would end up at a track at some point in time.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so that was the start, and then mom kind of counteracted a little bit, but lo and behold, it gave you a little bit extra edge, especially in dirt biking, where you have to know how to manipulate your body in multiple situations. Balance is key among that, and flexibility. When you're going through a turn on a dirt bike, your legs like way up in the air, So it's
tucked in over the front fender.
Yeah,
and that's something like most guys have to work at quite a bit to get, but coming from gymnastics and dance and all that, that wasn't the hardest thing for me. It was the strength that came along from wrestling a bike that weighed more than twice as much as I did.
Gotcha.
So
okay, so that's pretty cool. So you started with dirt bikes, and then that carried you how long, or do you still continue to do that?
So mostly until I went to college, I raced a lot. I was a pole vaulter in college.
Adrenaline junkie over here. I love it. Okay.
Yeah, so I started pole vaulting in high school, went through college, and I kind of stopped at that point in time because I didn't want to get injured and miss an NCAA season.
Gotcha.
And now I still have my bike. I still have everything. I go ride once in a while, but it's a little bit less than it used to be.
Okay. So then go-karting kind of fills the gap in between that, right?
Very much so. It's every week.
So you mentioned that you got involved high voltage, so basically lifetime or career story of racing for you. Starts at dirt bikes, family affair, and then you go to college. You have less time to do that, I presume, because you're studying and working hard and all that stuff. And
bikes in college dorms, I have to say. It's a
yeah,
little tough.
yeah. So it is tough to do in college unless you're like local. But and then you find out about a league at a different karting facility, and then you find out about K1 opening, and then so you come here, race, and I dare say, like, you know, the 12 hours and competition karting and the endurance series, now that we have like pro level stuff, we also have that amateur series where people, you know, as young as you into dirt bikes could come in and try that out and work their way up into that program, kind of like teen and junior GP, right? So what kind of led you to staying here for the leagues that are here versus anywhere else?
So the one thing I like about leagues here is the competition. They're different series, different leagues, depending on your interests. So if you like endurance side, there's endurance racing, but everything is competitive. So in some of the other facilities, they make you race by lap time, which is awesome, but it doesn't give you that competitiveness that racing wheel to wheel does. And that's what you get here. And you can pick your league based on what you want. If you want something really competitive, you go boost league. If you want something a little bit more chill, you'll go endurance side.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, that being said, as the endurance series has grown, it seems like endurance has, in my mind, become the most competitive series there is, based on, number one, I think what plays into this place, and you kind of touched upon it, but maybe like it's in the back of any racer's head, but from the directing side of it, what really helps at this place is the lithium-ion batteries. So we can race for track time, and the times are consistent, and they get faster as you go, instead of like a lead-acid-based kart like at other places where, you know, you have 3 laps basically to put down a really good lap, and then from there, good luck, because there's already such a draw on the batteries that the speed goes down. Here it's very consistent and actually gets faster as you guys warm up, I've noticed. So
yeah, tire heat.
Yeah, I think like 30 minutes on track in the endurance series has gotten incredibly competitive. But I think what you're trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, is that I've been in a lot of Boost League stuff. I mean, I helped create Boost League. It was just one of those things where I wanted really good wheel-to-wheel competitive position-based racing, where if you give me an inch, I'm going to take it.
Or if we give you a track, you take the whole thing too, because we can't pass you once you...
I've heard this a couple of times.
Yeah. Even if you're a lap down, the leaders will not pass you. You will not give way. You'll make them get around.
No, and if someone's out in front of me, I have that competitive edge that comes naturally to me, as like I don't like to lose. I guess I'm a polite loser, if that, but like I don't like to lose on track.
You're a Sunday driver.
I am very much a Sunday driver.
You race for the checkered flag,
yes,
being you.
Very,
nobody else.
very, very much so.
Yeah.
So like leading into all that, where like the endurance series has become very competitive, and well, I guess let's bounce back from that for 1 second. So GP, which we talked about. GP, you are racing actually today for the state championship.
Yep.
Why are you racing today for the state championship if you already won it outright?
So the way this series was set up was every K1 center in the world, actually, they have a GP night. It's the first Sunday of every night, or every month for adults. It's a different day for teens and juniors. And you race for 12 months. And they do a combination of points, and you get your league, your center winners. And then from there... there are several states, like California has
11,
18, a lot of centers. So they all bring their top 3 drivers to race for a state championship. And even though we only have one center in Ohio, they still want to do that race, so it's fair for all the drivers. They get their own state championship race.
Yeah, it makes sense for a big state that has a lot of locations to whittle it down to the best 3 in the state, and then send those to the national championship, race for the national championship, and then go on to the worlds from there. So I guess it was unexpected that you guys are racing state championships?
Yeah, we thought that the series kind of decided it, but then we got the email saying, hey, it's going to be for everybody. You get the extra state championship race.
Well, let's hope that's the only change that they have in mind for their...
Yeah, they have the date set for nationals, and we're all ready to go.
Okay.
It's myself, David, and Armand on the adult side.
And then you three are racing against each other today again to find out the top three. So really, the top three are locked out in Ohio.
Yep.
It's now just a matter of what position you go out there in?
Yeah, I don't know if it actually matters, but we get trophies based on tonight. So it's a race for a trophy, and I think there might be hats.
So did you get a trophy for the season race then? So you raced 12 of them, and you already got your big trophy saying, I won my GP?
I got my Challenge GP season trophy, and then we'll race for a state championship trophy tonight.
So either way, you come away with a first place of your...
of the season.
Of the season.
Yep.
Now you're just racing almost for bragging rights and a second trophy.
Yeah.
So, hey, 2 trophies out of 1 series.
Yeah. And
Can't go wrong with that.
It doesn't make that much of a difference between the 3 of us because we're on a team for the 12 hours. We're going to California. We know...
Oh, all 3 of you are in the 12 hours together.
Yeah, we're on the same team. So this race, for us, we're going to go out and race it to try and win it. But we all know we're all 3 fast, and this race doesn't determine the end of the state championship to us. There are more races to come in the year to separate us out.
Cool. Awesome. So in the endurance, there's, I guess, individuals all racing for the endurance championship. Every 6 months it rotates. This year we're planning on doing the Twilight finally with the new batteries coming. Hopefully we'll have that midway point, smaller endurance race. And then the 12 Hours of Canton is coming March 15th. Yep. So you alluded to that you already have 3 of your teammates on the 12 Hours roster so far. Yep. Who else is on your team so far?
So I have the same team as I did last year.
Oh.
And then Marshall decided to join a different team.
Okay.
So he's going to, I believe, be racing with the twins.
Mm-hmm. So FLBR racing.
Yeah, so that'll be a very fast team.
They are very, very, very quick.
Yeah, I want to say Marshall had probably the fastest lap of the 12 hours last year.
Yeah.
So going with that team, that's going to be very, very strong. And we brought on David. He was captain of Team Talladega. Mm-hmm. He's going to join our team this year.
You made mention that you do other types of racing. How do you feel that what you've learned go-karting translates to, like you said, like on track in a car? How does that translate for you?
So especially kids that are getting into karting here, between the junior league and the teen league, they're getting experience, right? So I drive a car to and from here and every day. Kids don't. Until you're 16, you don't have a driver's license. You don't drive a car,
right?
Generally, unless your dad's a
born
rally car
something.
driver and lets you in the car at 6 years old. But usually you don't. So these kids are coming in. They have no experience, so they're learning to drive the right way, more or less. And they're getting tips to help them get faster. So they're starting here. And they're learning good habits. So wherever they want to go in the future with racing, they already have a base.
Some of the basics.
Yeah, some of the basics.
Braking, turning,
how to pick a line.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Like, so if you learn a line on a go-kart track and you're the fastest person out there, or you become faster by using that line, that's something that translates to all forms of racing. Even if you've never been on a track, never been in a car on a track, you could go out there safely, navigate it, and know kind of how to find a basic line from doing this. That's a really cool, that's a really good insight. I never thought of that.
So these kids are out here, they're running a 28 second. All of a sudden they're running 27, 26. And so they're getting faster and they're learning things as they do this by themselves, or if somebody's giving them tips, they still have to apply. And so when you take that and you put your 16-year-old who now has a license into a car and they say, Dad, I want to go track my car. It's like, okay, this is a little scary, but what the parents don't always realize is they already have these fundamentals. So when they go into a car, most likely they have an instructor their first time out. But when the instructor says brake, they know that the instructor knows what they're doing and they're not screwing around, and they're going to hit the brakes probably harder than most people, and they're going to get better at a faster pace than other drivers would.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I've seen it translate many, many times. Felbers are a great example where they, they'll come in and they've gotten significantly better, but they're competing in Formula 4 now. And they started here with the basics, which is really, really cool to watch. We've also seen other kids and parents get involved, wanting their kids to get faster for some sort of racing, even if it's gas go-karting. They just want to get better at it. So it's really cool to watch. It's one of my favorite parts about being on the back end of the race is watching these people improve on something that they want to try and do in their life. So that's really cool. So I think beyond the driving skills, it teaches you discipline. It also teaches you like driver aggression, where road rage is a very common thing. On a go-kart track, you get very frustrated with people, and it comes out in many different ways. But you learn on a go-kart track, if you mess around with that person, it only slows you down. It only makes the race worse. So
it's strategy. The strategicness of, do you stay behind them for a lap, find a good passing zone, or do you start bumping them, slowing yourself down early? And the one thing this track doesn't offer is much of a break.
Yeah,
so when you're in a car at Daytona and you're going down that long straight on near the finish line area, you have like a second to release your hands.
Just loosen your grip a little bit. Yeah.
Or like relax, take a deep breath. And here you get like 2 seconds down the front straight to do that, and you're back into turn 1, 2, 3 really quickly. So your hands aren't getting a break, even though your driver changes more often. There's still a lot going on, and you're passing people, lappers and such, at a higher rate than you are in most car races. So
very true.
Yeah, it's everything, but it's condensed, so it's faster.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. So that's Rachel Hart. Now, I always ask this question. I've started doing this. I had this in my head of like how I wanted these podcasts or Sidetracked episodes to go. I don't even know if it's a podcast, but great. We're getting to know the personalities on track and off track. So if the question I was going to always ask is, who do you want us to interview next? Because people always throw out on the comments who they want to get to know and stuff like that. But as a driver, there's probably still people you don't know very well here at K1 Speed Canton for all of the endurance series and everything Competition Karting does. Who do you want to get to know better?
Yeah, so I race with Will Nonamaker all the time, and I've talked to him off track about races and different things, so getting his insight to this as a car driver coming into the series, and he's highly supportive of it. So to hear his insight would be really cool.
Team Salient, so Will Nonamaker. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I guess I will chase after Will, and you guys will be seeing that here shortly in the next episode of Sidetracked. But big thank you to Rachel Hart for your time and getting to know you. If you guys have anything else that you want to know about Rachel, definitely leave the comments. It really helps with not only just growing our series, helping us out that way, but we get to give you guys content that you want to see. So that really helps. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. And I am Jayson from Competition Karting here with Rachel Hart. And thank you so much for watching the first episode of Sidetracked. See you guys soon.